Mysa House is a new senior apartment project providing 24 units of affordable housing with optional congregate care services. It's designed for persons 55 years of age and older and will give preference to those 62 years of age or older. And as you can see, it's already started to come up out of the ground out there, and it will be a beautiful addition to the Eastwood Senior Campus. Mysa is kind of a strange word, and a lot of people say, what does that mean? Mysa is a Swedish word, and in keeping with Mora's Swedish theme that honors the early settlers and our sister city, Mora, Sweden. The untranslatable Swedish word, Mysa, conveys the feeling of a contented smile, snuggling up by yourself in front of a fire, or being comfortable in the company of good friends. Mysa is a new chapter in the HRA's vision of a thriving senior community offering a continuum of housing options and supportive services. The Board of Commissioners is comprised of a dynamic group of dedicated individuals who share a common passion to serve the underserved of our community. I'd like to introduce our Board of Directors now. Please come up to the front. Paul Larson, our Chair. Dennis Olson, Vice Chair. Barbara Fredrickson, Secretary. Sarah Treber's not with us yet, but hopefully she will come soon. And Robert Jensen. Thank you all for your leadership and your vision. And I'm going to ask Paul to say a few words here.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming this morning. This is a real special day, and we want to recognize a lot of people who have put so much energy and work into this event. So this new building has been basically in the planning stages for many years, and I'll try to explain that as I go along. So anyway, I'd like to start out with a kind of a story that started back in 2002 or early 2003. What we are focusing on today is the present, but every story has a past, present, and future part of it. So I'd like to take a moment to talk a bit about the past, because I believe if we do not know where we have been, it's hard to set a good course for the future. As I indicated, this story starts back in 2002, 2003, when the HRA board at that time was looking at our community, the data about this community, and our present facilities that we had on the west side of town, called Pinecrest and Dollhouse. Each of them had long waiting lists, and so it was obvious that we needed to start doing something to improve and expand our facilities. Our executive director at that time was Laura Howe, and she was aware of the 202 program, which I'm sure some of you folks are aware of. And the board decided to apply for this particular program, which is a program to build a 24-unit, very low-income senior housing. So an application was sent in almost immediately, and of course, as you would guess, we got a no. We hadn't really done our homework well on that one, so what had we done? Well, we did do a good job of gathering data about our community, the needs, and we also had a land problem, because our facility, the area on the west side, the space was limited. So it was during that time that the board looked closely at development of a new location. But to deal with the market study, we went around our community and talked to various financial institutions, and they stepped up to the plate and helped us with monies to develop a market plan. And this time I simply want to say a special thank you to those institutions that helped with that. because without that plan in those days, we wouldn't be here today. The land issue was a big problem. We started looking around Mora. After looking at several sites, we found this particular site, 16-acre site, where we are today. However, there were some real big issues here as well that needed to be resolved. The first big issue was that we didn't have any excess funds in our pocketbook, and it required about $175,000 to buy this particular property. The second big issue was that we didn't have sewer and water on this, or any infrastructure as far as that's concerned on this development, for this development. The last piece is that this property had to be annexed into the city of Mora. That's because it wasn't in the city limits. And so we had a number of real big issues, and they had to be dealt with. It's a beautiful piece of property loaded with a stand of red pine that had been planted back in the 50s. And as I looked at it, I thought, are we going to buy this and we're going to cut all those trees down? I'm kind of a tree hugger, and that really kind of bothered me just a little bit, but we went ahead and tried to develop a plan on how to pull that off. Well, the organization that we went to was the city of Mora, their staff, the city council, and we started basically asking them, what can you do to help us out, not only to find the money, but also find the infrastructure, sewer and water and streets and curb and gutter, but also, could you annex it while you're at it? That's right. And you know, we were kind of asking for the moon, but you know, they stepped back and analyzed it, and they gave us a big yes. We'll do what we can to help you out, and we want to thank them for that at this particular moment in time. The entire city council, and the staff at that time, and without that help, this project would not have been here today. Well, there were 4 applications that were made to HUD for the 202 monies. Finally in 2007, monies were granted. I maybe should back up just a little bit and say that with the help from the city, we were able to not only purchase it, but get the water and sewer in, and all the things that are needed for development. Because that helped us then with the 202 application, which then helped us with the building of Mysa House, which you'll see just to the east side of this particular property here. So a big thank you then goes to the Housing and Urban Development Organization and all the people who stepped forward at that time to build this campus that we today call Eastwood Campus. Well, anyway, about the same time, there was communications with Senator Mark Dayton's office. Governor Dayton was a senator at that time, and we asked if they could help us out with the building of a senior center, which is what we are in at the present time. This was the era of earmarks. If some of you people who follow politics, where senators and representatives can earmark money, I don't think they can do that today, but so we asked for nearly $300,000, and we were awarded that money. And so for this new senior center. Also occurring at about the same time was the need for a facility for assisted living and memory care. A facility that you'll see on the south side of this particular building, it was built at that time. And we call that the Eastwood Senior Living. And this building is called the Life Enrichment Center. So that's where the word LEC comes from. So the Life Enrichment Center and the Eastwood Senior Living Center were built approximately at the same time and joined together as one facility with distinctly different functions. Here again, we want to thank, at that time, Senator Dayton and the financial institutions that provided resources to build this Eastwood Senior Living facility and dedicated to senior folks. However, today we are adding a new facility to the Eastwood campus, the facility that we call Mysa House. And Rose gave a definition of the word Mysa, and I'm sure this word and its meaning will be used for discussion and advertisement and other types of things as time goes by. And you'll be hearing about that, I'm sure. We're really pleased with all the developments that have been happening. The vision began back there in 2002 and is coming together beautifully today. Now I'd like to take a few minutes to highlight the folks that helped so much to make the Mysa House a reality. The company that has been so helpful and so dedicated in bringing us this far is D.W. Jones Incorporated, owned by Skip Duchesne and his staff from Walker. And you'll be hearing from those folks here shortly too, I think. Okay? They certainly seem to know the process how to get things done, and we want to recognize them for their work. So a big thank you to you, Skip, and your company. Without your help, this company would not, this facility would not be coming up. And of course, they couldn't get the job done well without a lot of help from other staff as well. The architect is Cole Group Architects, and we want to thank you. The contractor, Miller Architects and Building. So we want to thank both of you for the work that you've done. Anyways, now we're down to the place where you can't do anything without money. That's the big key, I guess, to do things. And so I want to I'd just like to mention the folks who have really been a help in putting the financial package together. And I'd like to list off the folks: the Minnesota Housing and Finance Agency, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines, the Minnesota Housing, Minnesota Equity Fund, the Greater Minnesota Housing Fund, Sinair, and the City of Mora. Without your help and your resources, this project would not be completed either. A big thank you again to each of you folks for the part that you played in this one. Without your help, it would not happen. I would be amiss if I didn't also give a big thank you to the Mora HRA board members who you met up here in front. Thank you for your leadership and your vision for this project over time. And then lastly, I want to thank our executive director, Rose Dunn. She's been there the entire time, working, calling, collecting data, signing papers, organizing meetings, and the list goes on. A very special thank you to you, Rose, for the work that you've done. Being involved in community development is like a game of football and basketball or any other sport. If your team is going to come out ahead, each player on that team must play their position well. I believe that is what happened in the case of the Mysa House. So I would simply just like to say to all of you, great job, Team Mysa. So with that, I'd like to say thank you again for all of you coming today, and I hope that all goes well in the going out in the cold and that sort of thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. The Mora HRA is an extension of the City of Mora and works closely with the city on local housing issues. Mysa House would not be a reality today if not for the city's support. Working with us through the challenges of development, helping us meet rush deadlines to keep our project on track, and financial support, including obligating $240,400 in TIF financing to the Mysa project. Our gratitude goes to the City of Mora And now I would like to introduce Honorable Jack LaRue, Mayor.
I don't have any prepared speech today. I didn't write all the notes. But I want to highlight the complexity of getting Mysa House up and off the ground. Paul is a very gentle speaking person who really understated the complexity that it took to get to this place. I have to commend the HRA board for their vision. He mentioned the Mysa House, he mentioned Eastwood Senior Living, and now the Mysa House. That all came from a vision, and it came from hard work from the HRA board over the years. We went through that market study, when was that? 2014, that really highlighted the desperate need for housing. And the HRA board already had a vision of how to meet some of that demand. Rose has had a list of people needing housing, and the answer seems simple, just build, right? But it isn't simple. It was a partnership between private and government and self-government. It was a lot of work on Skip's part to get all of that put together. I have to thank the Minnesota Housing for some of the funding. I'm going to forget some of the people, but it was really extremely hard work, and I have to commend the HRA board and Rose for the work that they did to get it to where it was a reality. We're going to be opening in the spring? Summer? Okay. Late spring. Early spring. Already there's people that need that housing, and can hardly wait for the new building to start up. The Mysa concept is absolutely wonderful. It fits Mora so nicely. Having this campus develop has been just wonderful to watch, especially as a representative from the city. This is making our community a very, very nice place to live. And I can't be more excited about having the Mysa House being developed. So I'm not going to take too much of your time. Again, I want to highlight all of the hard work that went into getting this far. I want to thank the HRA board for their vision, especially Paul's tenacity towards that vision. And I want to thank Rose for her hard work in doing all the grunt work that Paul told her to do. And then Skip, I want to highlight you too, because you've done a tremendous amount of work, and your company has done a tremendous amount of work collecting data and seeking out the funding. And then the other partners who funded the organization, including the city with the TIP, we were happy to do that. But I think the community members really need to know that this is a great partnership, and this is going to be a great addition to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. As you've been hearing already in our talks today, government from the local to the state to the federal level is so important, plays such an important part in affordable housing and helps us to fill those gaps. And we are honored today to have speaking on behalf of Congressman Nolan's office, the Field and Constituent Services Representative, Mr. Rick Olseen.
Well, thank you. I'm Rick Olseen, and I cover the southern part of the 8th District for Congressman Nolan. I call them the Pick'em counties, so Pine, Isanti, Chisago, Kanabec, and Mille Lacs. And I spent a lot of time in Mille Lacs counties particularly at the senior dining centers. I enjoy the food they have, and also I speak to the seniors a lot on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security issues, and senior scamming and stuff. And I'm wearing the appropriate colors today. I hope you noticed that. My grandparents, one set of them came from Smullen, and the other came from Stockton. So there you go. But I want to mention, before I read this letter from the congressman, that Rose has become my go-to person for housing. I get all kinds of people that are in distress, that they're homeless, and or they're going to lose their apartment, and I turn to Rose. And Rose is you're lucky to have her. She's a very good staff person and director, so thank you. But now the congressman is on his way to DC, so he couldn't be here, but this is what he says. This is a great day for the city of Mora and our entire region as we break ground for this wonderful Mysa House project. My Swedish friends tell me that the word Mysa is used to describe that special feeling of safety and contentment that we all experience in the comfort of our home. And that's exactly what this project is all about. The simple truth is, Mysa House is a win for everyone. It's a win for the residents who will continue to live as independently as they can right here in Mora, enjoying a great quality of life close to friends and family and all the services and entertainment they have come to appreciate and depend on over the years. And it's a win for this entire community, able to provide services, options, and opportunities for residents at every stage of life. As I'm sure you are aware, Mysa House is being funded as part of a much larger effort to create and preserve more urgently needed affordable housing for seniors throughout our state, and most especially in rural Minnesota. It's just one more shining example of what we can do when we use our great nation's precious resources to reinvest in people and human development right here at home. So hats off to everyone who had a hand in planning the Mysa House and getting this project off the ground today. Have a wonderful celebration, and I look forward to monitoring progress as the ribbon cutting gets closer in spring. I guess now it's early summer. So, and just to clarify, there are no more earmarks. So that Paul was right. There's no more earmarks, and that was always a nice tool for projects that might not have been on a radar screen. Congressmen and senators could bring projects forward, but you guys have done a great job doing that without an earmark. So thank you.
In 2016, Minnesota Housing announced a pilot initiative to fund senior rental development with services. Mysa House was one of 2 projects awarded in the state, allowing our small rural community to test a new model of financing and service delivery that could be rolled out on a larger scale to help meet increased demands in the future. Today, we recognize and appreciate Minnesota Housing for believing in our project and providing financing to make it possible. I introduce to you Barb Skorling, Assistant Commissioner of Minnesota Housing.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I get to go to a lot of groundbreakings and a lot of grand openings, and I have to say this is one of the best attended groundbreakings. They tend to draw fewer people, especially in the winter weather, but there's a group of us that are doing all of these. They tend to happen about a year after the financing is awarded. So it's good to be here. My name is Barb Sporline. I'm the Deputy Commissioner with Minnesota Housing. I extend greetings from our Commissioner, Mary Tingerthal, who was appointed by Governor Dayton to lead our agency back in 2011. She's not able to be here, and so I get to be here. I often get to go with her, but I like to go. I also want to, where's Mary Beth Kerwald from our agency? She's an underwriter, and she'll be working on this project, has been working on this project, and she's great, and a great travel mate too. Get to talk on the way up. Just a few comments. I spend a lot of time in Mora, have the last 20-some years. We have a cottage just north of Aiken, and this is our halfway point. I live in Arden Hills, Minnesota, and when our kids were younger, we'd stop at, we have a fabulous playground, and we'd stop there to wear them out, so they'd hopefully fall asleep in the car seat before we got up there. And then as they got older, we went to the Crystal because they were starving and could never make it to the cabin. And then we have really good friends, Chris and Rich Schultz, who have since moved, but they live here and they have a cabin on our lake. And I used to own the bank here or run the bank, but now it's a different bank name, so I don't recognize it. But so a lot of time here, and I really appreciate it, and I really like this community. We tend to, we can't offer our financing unless your project is ready to go. And I really appreciated listening to Paul, the mayor, because you usually don't have so much history associated with one project, and hearing from the vision back in 2002, and then overcoming things like we have to be annexed, and we need utilities, and we need land, and we need financing. From my experience as planning director in Minneapolis, any one of those was a deal killer. But you overcame all of them and got ready to go. And so for those of you who are not familiar with our agency, we are a finance agency. We're one of the state agencies. We're basically the bank, the state's affordable housing lender. And we do both first-time homebuyer mortgages and home improvement loans. And then we also finance affordable rental housing. And so this is an example of the latter. And we are providing a bridge loan and some tax-exempt bonds. And we're also providing the first mortgage. And we were able to add some deferred loans to buy down that interest rate for you. And then also the senior pilot, $1 million of deferred loans. And the senior pilot was in recognition of course, the economics and the demographics of the aging population, but how do we find a way to design buildings, and I appreciate the work that Miller and Cole Group has done, design a building to let people age in place, and then the combination of services either on-site or coming in that can be tailored to the residents. And that's what we were trying to get at with the senior pilot, is something that's a little different than cookie cutter. We only provide this service, you know, from 1 to 2 on Tuesdays in this community room, but something that can really be tailored. So we're excited to see how this works. Really appreciate the collaboration, and again, congratulations. I look forward to the grand opening in late spring or early summer.
Midsummer. Financing affordable housing is challenging, and it often requires partnerships with entities who share a common mission. We are grateful for our partnership with Greater Minnesota Housing Fund and Minnesota Equity Fund for their investment in our community. Please welcome John Arago, Director of Syndication and Loan Officer for Greater Minnesota Housing Fund and Minnesota Equity Fund.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming today to celebrate the start of construction of Mysa House. I'm excited to be here representing Greater Minnesota Housing Fund and Minnesota Equity Fund. We have a valued partnership with Skip DeShano and his team at D.W. Jones. We also have a long relationship with the city of Mora, as Dick Graceler, who was a banker and lived in this community for many, many years, was one of the original founding board members of Greater Minnesota Housing Fund. And I don't see him in the audience today. That's because he spends his winters in California, and I think winter has started. Mysa House, as you've heard, is a pilot project for affordable senior housing, and it's a bit of an experiment and was a challenge for Minnesota Housing to be creative. And D.W. Jones and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority of Mora have really rung the bell on that, and Greater Minnesota Housing Fund, Minnesota Equity Fund are thrilled to be your partner. This is really a milestone event. It's important to reflect on the process, the blood, the sweat, and the tears that it took to get to this point, and there have been many from what we have already heard. But I want to also think about this event today as an early celebration of the 24 units of affordable senior housing that will soon grace this beautiful site, and you have to imagine that because we're not outdoors, but it's that way. Here in Mora, my understanding is that there's already like 30 or 40 names on the waiting list from low-income seniors that are interested in living in Mysa House once it's completed. And this is a real testament to the need for additional affordable housing options in the community, and that is, it's exciting to be a part of that much broader vision that started 15 years ago. Greater Minnesota Housing Fund is providing $535,000 in deferred loan support for Mysa House. Perhaps even more importantly, Minnesota Equity Fund and its strategic partner, Sinair, and Chris Laurent will be speaking in a moment, are providing an equity investment of $1.2 million in private capital. That's significant because Mysa House has probably almost died 6 times or more along the way. And there's a great deal of uncertainty around the tax credit industry with the potential for tax reform. That's a very large unknown at this point. But let's be clear. Green Minnesota Housing Fund and Minnesota Equity Fund are contributors to a larger team led by first the HRA Board of Commissioners, then the city, many participants, Skip with D.W. Jones, Rose with the HRA, and all of these folks have worked tirelessly for the better part of like 15 years, and my more recent history of 3 years, to make Mysa House a reality. So many of you were and are partners in seeing this vision come to fruition. I salute your efforts. I look forward to seeing many of you again at the grand opening, whenever that happens. And we'll celebrate not only the completion of construction, but another beginning at that time, that of Mysa House opening its doors and providing affordable housing for low-income seniors here in Mora. It's an honor for Greater Minnesota Housing Fund and Minnesota Equity Fund to be a part of this team and to partner with D.W. Jones and the HRA. And I'd like to thank all of you for stepping up on behalf of low-income seniors to provide homes for all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. As a tax credit project, Mysa House needed an investor that understands that Mysa House is more than just a building or an asset. We'd like to thank our partners at Sinair who recognize that affordable housing can positively impact lives, and thank you for helping make an impact here in Mora. We're honored today to be joined by Senior Vice President of Sinair, Mr. Chris Lauren.
Thanks, Rose. So I'd like to direct my comments to the mayor because I would think, like most mayors, he wants to do more stuff in Mora. And I'll tell you a little bit about our business strategy. First of all, Sinair is something called the CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. We're based in Lansing, Michigan. I live in Madison, home of the, last I heard, 5th-ranked Badgers. And one of the things that I've noticed as I've been watching the slides rotate is there are a lot of trees. And Skip's company, D.W. Jones, has a leaf. We have a tree, the green splotch above our C, which stands for the Tree of Trust. And anybody who's read The Speed of Trust, written by Stephen Covey II, not the older guy, but his son, knows how important trust is. And so fundamentally, when we look for partners, if we're trying to guarantee success, we look for someone that we have trust in. And I can't think of a finer example than Skip and Andrew and Deb. They're awesome people. And all this complexity that you've heard about, all the stuff, the layering, the financing, it fundamentally doesn't matter if you got a good team and you have the trust behind the people leading the charge to put stuff together. So Rose, wish you continued success, and we look forward to coming back and seeing a great building. Thank you.
Supporting affordable housing through financing, Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines works at the government level to promote support of affordable housing programs. As a financial partner in Mysa House, their mission paves the way for us to continue ours. Joining us today is Amber Mora, Government Relations for Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines.
Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today. It is an honor to not only be a part of the partnership, but to also see so many great folks in the audience, and the support of the community obviously is here, so great. As Rose mentioned, I am Amber Mora. I'm the Government Relations Manager for the Federal Home Loan Bank, and it's an honor to be here to join the Mora Housing and Redevelopment Authority and represent the FHLB Des Moines for the groundbreaking of Mysa House. For those of you who don't know us, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines is a member-owned cooperative that provides funding to our financial institution members throughout our 13-state district. Because we are a cooperative, everything that we do, especially including our affordable housing program, is done in partnership with our members. We are made up of financial institutions of every kind and size, all the way from Minnesota to Guam. FHLB Des Moines provides $120 billion in funding to our members so they can support mortgage lending, economic development, and affordable housing in their communities. Our mission is to help our members meet the housing, economic development, and business needs of the cities, towns, and neighborhoods that they operate in. Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines has 322 members here in Minnesota. Collectively, these members have borrowed roughly $3.3 billion to fund every area of agricultural, commercial, small business, and consumer lending. We have supported the origination of nearly $2 billion in mortgages in Minnesota through direct purchase of our members' loans or by creating conduits for them to sell their mortgages. This is especially important to our community banks and to our credit unions. And in Minnesota, our mission means that the Federal Home Loan Bank has granted from our income, not taxpayer dollars, almost $95 million in grants for housing through our competitive affordable housing program. The members of the FHLB Des Moines Cooperative, like Greater Minnesota Housing Fund, are the key partners in providing these grants, loans, and services to the communities they serve. We are honored to be in Mora today to recognize the outstanding work of Greater Minnesota Housing Fund and the Mora HRA with their partnership with the FHLB Des Moines. As part of our 2016 competitive grant awards, we are pleased to select Greater Minnesota Housing Fund, Mora HRA, and the Mysa House project for a $500,000 award. The almost $95 million in housing grants to Minnesota has been used to support nearly 19,000 families, increasing their economic stability. And today's project increased that support by 24. It may seem like not much, but for those 24 members or families, it means a great deal. It also means, these grants also represent jobs for the construction industry, as well as the jobs managing the properties and supporting the families in these homes. Congratulations to the Mora HRA for your incredible work to provide quality, safe, and affordable housing. Thank you.
Next, I would like to recognize someone I wanted to say last, but it's not quite last, but certainly not least, Minnesota Housing Partnership, who has not only walked this development road with us, but sometimes led us. This morning I was talking with Sheree, and she noted that we met in September of 2013. And so here we are 4 years later, making things happen, and it's a long road, but that's all time needed to get things done right. From helping us to fund the housing study in 2014 that first identified the need for Mysa House, facilitating community roundtable discussions, inviting me to participate in the 2015 Housing Institute, and their ongoing support and encouragement that seems to always come at the right time. Thank you for your guidance, financial contributions, and your confidence in this community's ability to come together and make great things happen. Please welcome Sheree Polenius, Community Development Manager for Minnesota Housing Partnership.
Good morning. I've been working in housing and community development for over 30 years, the last 9 with Minnesota Housing Partnership. And as Rose mentioned, I first met Paul Larson and Rose Dunn in September 2013 at the East Central Housing Regional Kickoff Meeting. At that time, all the HRA units were fully occupied, and they had a 5-year waiting list for the Section 8 certificates. There was a clear need for additional affordable housing in Mora, and Paul and Rose were eager to do something about it. Their vision ultimately became the Mysa House. The project we're celebrating today. Mysa House is the culmination of 4 years of planning, collaboration, and partnerships. It has been my extreme pleasure to support Paul, Rose, and the HRA board as they worked hard to make this project happen. It truly takes a village, and I feel honored to have provided guidance, information, and encouragement when needed to help the team succeed. MHP's participation in the project as we supported Mora staff in creating, soliciting, and contracting with Maxfield Research to prepare a citywide housing study in May of 2014. In January of 2015, the HRA joined 6 other nonprofit organizations working in East Central, participating in the MHP GMHF Housing Institute. Overall, the team worked really well together and gained a lot of new development skills, which was an important opportunity for the HRA to gain momentum for the project. Multifamily development is very complex, with each project having its own unique set of differences and difficulties. Together, the ECHO team supported the HRA's vision of creating more affordable senior housing. In June of 2015, using information from the housing study, the HRA began engaging community support and stakeholders, holding open houses at the HRA properties, gaining that support for the HRA to develop additional senior housing. In early October of 2015, at the East Central Regional Housing Dialogue, the HRA notified funders a general occupancy project wouldn't work for seniors because the affordable subsidized general occupancy vacancy rate in Mora was 2%, and the senior vacancy rate was 1.1%, and assisted seniors at 1.7%. That mere 0.9 and 0.3% was too close, extremely close, and the HRA asked that the funders look at trying to create something for seniors only. With MHP's guidance, Rose began reviewing the MHFA's financing application using current HRA property information to complete the financial worksheets or pro formas to determine project feasibility. In October of 2015, the information was presented to the HRA board, granting staff authorization to move forward locating a developer. In December of 2015, using a request for qualifications, soliciting housing developers, the HRA board selected D.W. Jones as their developer. In January of 2016, the HRA applied and was accepted to attend the Minnesota American Institute of Architects, AIA, Search for Shelter Design Charrette. A team of students created several creative design ideas for the entire HRA site, coming up with the project's name, Mysa House. We're here today to celebrate Mysa House, the seniors who will call it home, and the people who made it happen. Mysa House will be a great asset to the Mora community, and I know Rose and the Mora team aren't done yet. I look forward to your next development, creating a fully integrated senior housing campus in the great city of Mora. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Sheree. You have been hearing one common theme, a common thread we have not heard yet from D.W. Jones, and this is the entity that we would not be here today without, the catalyst that has moved us through the funding processes, and let me tell you, there's been a lot of bumps, and Skip and his team are awesome problem solvers, and sometimes just how they resolve these issues is incredible. And so thank you, Skip, Debbie, Andrew, the rest of your team. Skip, could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, the road was a little bumpy at times. Who would have thought electing a new president would mess this project up for a couple of months? But thanks to our funders, we were able to figure out other ways to fill our shortcomings and lack of money, and make the project happen. I'm going to really just talk about the development team here. And before I do that, I want everybody has said a lot of nice things about D.W. Jones, and I greatly appreciate it. And I can't take that myself. You've heard of Andrew and Debbie. You guys wave your hands, stand up a little bit. It's the three of us that are the D.W. Jones. It's not Skip DeShano, and it's the three of us. And it was, as Sheree just pointed out, it was about 2 years ago that we all came here as well with the rest of our development team, and pitched our company to the board, and that we should be the ones that are selected to do this Mysa House project. And I would like to thank the board and Rose for selecting us and giving us this opportunity. It's kind of fun to do a pilot project, kind of. They have their challenges, since it's new for everybody. There are things that we don't know that are going to be obstacles along the way. But we were able to make it. And being the only project in Greater Minnesota that was selected, it's kind of exciting in and of itself. The best part is, the other project hasn't closed yet, so Mysa House is the first one closed and under construction. So that, I think, is what's really exciting. So, Norm and David, can you guys stand up, wave your hands? So, you've heard about them as well. They're a Cole Group architect. They're the ones who came up with the design. We had this direction from the board of creating this Swedish building in Mora, Minnesota. And what you've been seeing in the renderings is our idea of what that might look like. And I think when you see it, now I'm not going to say spring or summer, I'm going to say July, August. Next year when we have a ribbon cutting. I think you'll be impressed with the quality of the structure and the design and the look of it. And I've not been to Sweden. We looked at pictures, we looked at books, and so that's where we drew our expertise from. Also, Miller Construction is our other main design, our development group. Joe, Jesse, stand up. Miller Construction. So with some good weather this week, we're going to have a slab on the building across the street, and then I think we're home free for the winter. We can start building. Worked with Miller Architects and Construction for a couple years now, and really enjoyed their professionalism, getting projects built on time and on budget. And so I don't expect this to be anything different. They also were involved with building Eastwood originally. So they have been in Mora and done construction here as well. So in summing, I just want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to work with you, and we look forward to the ribbon cutting in July and August. And when there's the next phase, give us a call. Thanks.
I just want to give one last little recognition today. With my staff, we always say that we succeed as a team and we fail as a team, and so today we celebrate as a team. Go HRA staff. This concludes our program, or at least the interior speaking portion. We've got cookies, hot chocolate, coffee there. We will be stepping out to do some pictures outside. You're welcome to follow us out if you're dressed warm and you're brave, but otherwise feel free to just enjoy the warmth and the fellowship inside here, and thank you again for coming today.
2, 3.